8 Brutal Stoic Laws that'll rewire your mind. Become mentally unbreakable. Stoicism. They lied to you. They told you life would get easier. They told you motivation would save you. But deep down, you already know the truth. Life does not reward the weak-minded. It tests you, breaks you, embarrasses you, drains you, and waits to see whether you collapse or transform. Most people spend their lives controlled by fear, anger, laziness, and the opinions of others. But the Stoics? They became dangerous because they learned one thing. Nothing outside of them could control their inner world. And today, you are about to learn the same. Because these are the 8 brutal Stoic laws that will rewire your mind and make you mentally unbreakable. Watch until the end. One of these laws may completely change the way you see pain forever. And if you're ready to master yourself, subscribe to Discipline Within for more powerful videos on Stoicism, discipline, mental strength, and self-mastery. Let's begin. Before we enter the laws, you need to understand what Stoicism really is. Stoicism is not about pretending you have no emotions. It is not about becoming cold. It is not about acting like life does not hurt. Stoicism is the art of remaining steady when life becomes chaotic. It is the ability to suffer without losing yourself, to feel anger without becoming destructive, to feel sadness without becoming weak, to face hardship without surrendering your dignity. The ancient Stoics believed something powerful. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control who you become because of it. Marcus Aurelius was an emperor surrounded by war, betrayal, disease, and pressure. Yet he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Think about that. Not your money. Not your status. Not your followers. Not your appearance. Your thoughts. Stoicism teaches that your mind is your greatest weapon. And if you can master your reactions, you can survive almost anything. That is why today we are not just talking about philosophy. We are talking about mental survival. Now let us enter the first brutal law. Law 1. Nobody is coming to save you. This is the law most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid. You are waiting. Waiting for motivation. Waiting for support. Waiting for someone to understand you. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. Waiting for life to become fair. But Stoicism teaches a brutal truth. Nobody is coming. And strangely, that should set you free. Because the moment you stop waiting for rescue, you finally take responsibility for your life. A young man once lost everything after his business failed. His friends disappeared. His relationship ended. Even his family mocked him. For months he sat in self-pity, blaming life, blaming luck, blaming everyone around him. Then one night, sitting alone in a tiny apartment with unpaid bills scattered across the floor, he realized something. No one was coming to fix his life. And instead of destroying him, that realization rebuilt him. He woke up early, started training, read books daily, learned new skills, worked in silence. Years later, people called him disciplined. But they never saw the night he accepted the truth. The Stoics believe suffering begins when you refuse responsibility. The moment you say, "I will carry my own life," you become powerful. How to develop a Stoic mindset begins here. Stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Start asking, "What must I become because of this?" That question changes everything. Because mentally strong people do not waste energy blaming reality. They adapt. And adaptation is power. Remember this. The world respects those who can stand alone. Not because loneliness is beautiful, but because independence creates strength. Subscribe to Discipline Within if you are ready to stop waiting for rescue and start building yourself. Law 2. Your emotions are not always telling the truth. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing every emotion they feel. If they feel fear, they assume danger is real. If they feel rejection, they assume they are worthless. If they feel anger, they assume revenge is necessary. But Stoicism teaches, your emotions are signals, not commands. A warrior once admitted he felt fear before battle, but he refused to obey it. That is mental mastery. Mastering your emotions and reactions does not mean becoming emotionless. It means refusing to become a slave to temporary feelings. Modern life trains people to react instantly. Someone insults you online? React. Someone ignores your message? Overthink. Someone disappoints you? Explode emotionally. But the Stoics understood something dangerous. Every emotional reaction costs energy. And people who constantly react eventually lose control of themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Read that again. The power is not outside. It is inside. Imagine a man insulted publicly. One version of him erupts with rage. He destroys relationships. Embarrasses himself. Creates regret. Another version pauses. Breathes. Thinks. Responds with calm discipline. Who is stronger? The loud man? Or the man who controls himself? Stoicism always chooses self-control over emotional chaos. Daily Stoic practice for mental clarity starts with observing your emotions before reacting. When anger rises, pause. When anxiety rises, breathe. When sadness appears, observe it without drowning in it. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of them. And once you understand that, your mind changes forever. Law 3. Suffering is a training ground. Most people run from pain. The Stoics studied it. Because they understood something modern society refuses to accept. Comfort weakens people. Difficulty reveals them. Think about fire. Gold becomes pure only after intense heat. Humans are no different. A boy grew up poor. Every day he walked miles to school wearing torn shoes. He watched others laugh at him. He felt ashamed constantly. But those painful years taught him resilience, discipline, patience, hunger. Years later, when life became harder, he did not collapse. Because suffering had already trained him. Meanwhile, people who grew up protected from every discomfort broke apart over small inconveniences. Stoicism teaches that pain is not always punishment. Sometimes it is preparation. Turning suffering into strength requires a change in perspective. Instead of asking, "How do I escape this pain?" ask, "What is this pain teaching me?" Heartbreak teaches detachment. Failure teaches humility. Loneliness teaches self-reliance. Discipline teaches endurance. The obstacle becomes the teacher. Epictetus was born a slave. A slave. Yet his wisdom survived centuries. Why? Because external suffering could not destroy internal strength. This is how to be mentally strong in hard times. You stop seeing suffering as the end. You start seeing it as training. Every difficult season is shaping you into someone harder to break. And the strongest people you admire today? Most of them were forged in pain nobody saw. Law 4. Discipline is greater than motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Some mornings you feel unstoppable. Other mornings you feel empty. If your entire life depends on motivation, your success will always be unstable. Stoicism teaches something far more powerful. Discipline. Discipline means doing what must be done even when your emotions resist it. A man wanted to become stronger, but he depended too much on motivation. One day a trainer told him, "Your feelings do not matter. Your habits do." From that moment, he focused on routines instead of emotions, and his life slowly changed. Rewiring your brain for self-discipline happens through repetition. Your brain learns from what you repeatedly do, not from what you repeatedly promise. Productivity and discipline tips from Stoicism are simple but brutal. Wake up when you said you would. Keep your word to yourself. Finish difficult tasks first. Reduce distractions. Train your body. Train your mind. Most people destroy themselves through inconsistency. 1 week disciplined. 1 week lazy. 1 week focused. 1 week distracted. But mentally unbreakable people understand that small repeated actions create powerful identities. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, When you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being. Even emperors battled laziness. The difference is, they acted anyway. Stop waiting to feel ready. Action creates clarity. Discipline creates confidence. Consistency creates transformation. Subscribe to Discipline Within if you are ready to stop depending on motivation and start becoming disciplined. Law 5. You must learn to stand alone. One of the hardest lessons in life is realizing not everyone will stay. Some people love you only when you are useful. Some support you only when you are successful. Some disappear the moment life becomes difficult. And if your identity depends entirely on other people's validation, you will suffer endlessly. Stoicism teaches emotional independence. Not arrogance. Not isolation. Inner stability. A man spent years trying to impress everyone. Friends. Family. Social media. Strangers. Every decision he made depended on approval. But eventually he became exhausted. Because no matter how much validation he received, it never lasted. Then one day, after losing people he thought would stay forever, he sat alone and asked himself, who am I when nobody is clapping for me? That question changed him. He stopped performing. Stopped begging. Stopped explaining himself to everyone. And slowly peace returned. Emotional healing and power for men often begins with silence. Not suppression. Reflection. Modern men are told to either hide emotions completely or become emotionally uncontrolled. Stoicism teaches balance. Feel deeply. But remain grounded. A strong man is not the loudest man. He is the man who can carry pain without allowing it to poison others. Ancient wisdom for modern life matters now more than ever because modern society constantly rewards attention-seeking behavior. But the Stoics valued inner peace over external applause. Learn to enjoy your own company. Learn to sit with your thoughts. Learn to survive seasons where nobody understands your journey. Because the person who can stand alone becomes impossible to manipulate. Law 6. Your mind becomes what you feed it. Every day your mind is being programmed. By social media. By music. By conversations. By habits. By the people around you. And most people never question what they are feeding their minds. A farmer once planted 2 seeds. One received sunlight, water, and care. The other was neglected. Months later, one became strong. The other died. Your mind works the same way. If you constantly feed yourself negativity, distraction, gossip, comparison, and laziness, your mind weakens. But if you feed yourself discipline, knowledge, silence, reflection, and purpose, your mind sharpens. Stoicism teaches mental nutrition. Protect your attention. Because attention is life. Whatever controls your attention eventually controls your future. This is why mentally strong people are selective. Selective with friendships. Selective with entertainment. Selective with environments. Selective with energy. Daily Stoic practice for mental clarity includes moments of silence. No noise. No scrolling. No distractions. Just reflection. Seneca once said, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Modern life scatters attention constantly. Notifications. Arguments. Drama. Comparison. And slowly people lose the ability to think clearly. But clarity is power. A young man started waking up earlier to read, exercise, and reflect in silence. Within months, his focus and confidence improved because he changed what he fed his mind. Protect your mental environment. Because your future self is being shaped by your daily inputs. Law 7. Death is the greatest teacher. Most people avoid thinking about death. The Stoics reflected on it daily. Not because they were depressed. Because they wanted to live fully. A Stoic practice called memento mori means, remember you will die. Brutal? Yes. But powerful. Because when you truly understand life is temporary, your priorities change. Suddenly, petty arguments feel meaningless. Procrastination feels dangerous. Fake relationships feel empty. Fear loses power. A soldier once carried a small reminder in his pocket every day. On it were the words, "You could leave life right now." Whenever he became angry, distracted, or arrogant, he looked at those words. And immediately he remembered. Time is limited. Stoicism teaches urgency, not panic. Purpose. Too many people waste years waiting for the perfect time. But life keeps moving. Your parents age. Your opportunities fade. Your body changes. Your time disappears silently. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That is not negativity. That is awakening. How to be mentally strong in hard times becomes easier when you remember this. Nothing lasts forever. Not pain. Not failure. Not embarrassment. Not success. Everything passes. And once you understand that, you stop clinging desperately to temporary emotions. You become calmer, more focused, more grateful. Death teaches you how to live. Law 8. Your greatest battle is against yourself. At the end of the day, your biggest enemy is rarely another person. It is your lower self. The lazy self. The fearful self. The distracted self. The emotional self. The weak self that wants comfort over growth. A warrior entered a temple seeking wisdom. He asked the old master, "Who is the strongest man alive?" The master replied, "The man who conquers himself." That is the final law. Most people spend their lives trying to control others, trying to win arguments, trying to gain approval, trying to dominate externally. Meanwhile, they cannot even control their own habits. Real power begins internally. Can you remain calm under pressure? Can you stay disciplined when nobody is watching? Can you control your impulses? Can you keep moving forward after failure? That is strength. Not muscles. Not status. Not money. Self-control. Rewiring your brain for self-discipline requires war against your excuses every single day. Some days you will fail. Some days you will feel exhausted. Some days your mind will tell you to quit. But the Stoic continues anyway. Because growth is not emotional. It is intentional. Ancient wisdom from modern life teaches us that external success means nothing without inner control. You can have money and still be weak. You can have fame and still be emotionally unstable. You can appear successful and still be internally broken. But the person who masters themselves? That person becomes unstoppable. Now that you understand the laws, let us make them practical. How do you actually develop a Stoic mindset? First, accept reality instead of fighting it. Stoics do not waste energy wishing life were easier. They adapt to reality and focus on what they can control. Second, train discomfort intentionally. Take cold showers. Exercise regularly. Spend time alone. Practice discipline. Comfort addiction creates weakness. Third, observe your thoughts. Do not believe every negative thought your mind produces. Learn to pause before reacting. Fourth, detach from validation. Stop needing everyone to understand your journey. Your mission matters more than approval. Fifth, focus on daily improvement. Not perfection. Progress. A Stoic mindset is built day by day, moment by moment, choice by choice. If you truly want transformation, practice these daily. Wake up early and spend time in silence. Journal your thoughts. Ask yourself, what is within my control today? Exercise your body. Because physical strength supports mental strength. Read wisdom instead of endless entertainment. Limit distractions. Reflect before sleep. Ask, where did I lose control emotionally today? Where did I show discipline? How can I improve tomorrow? The Stoics treated every day like training. And over time, ordinary people became extraordinary through consistency. Turning suffering into strength. Never waste your pain. That heartbreak? Use it. That rejection? Use it. That loneliness? Use it. Your suffering can either destroy you or educate you. Many of the strongest people alive today were once broken. But instead of becoming bitter, they became disciplined. Every painful season carries hidden lessons: patience, resilience, humility, strength. The Stoics believed adversity reveals character. And sometimes the hardest years of your life become the foundation of your greatest transformation. Many men today are silently suffering pressure, loneliness, failure, heartbreak, confusion. But society often tells men only two options exist: suppress everything, or emotionally collapse. Stoicism offers another path. Feel your emotions, but do not become controlled by them. A strong man cries if necessary, but he also rises afterward. Healing is not weakness. Remaining broken forever is. Real masculine strength is emotional stability. The ability to stay calm during chaos. The ability to lead under pressure. The ability to endure pain without spreading it. That is power. If you want to become mentally unbreakable, your days must become intentional. Stop wasting mornings. Wake up with purpose. Avoid endless scrolling. Protect your focus. Finish difficult tasks first. Train your body daily. Keep promises to yourself. Do not let temporary emotions destroy long-term goals. Remember, discipline is self-respect in action. Every time you keep your word to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you betray your own standards, your self-respect weakens. Your habits are shaping your future identity. Choose wisely. Hard times reveal who you really are. Anybody can smile when life is easy. Anybody can feel confident when everything is working. Anybody can appear strong when there is no pressure. But what happens when life suddenly changes? When the money disappears? When the relationship ends? When the betrayal comes from someone you trusted? When loneliness becomes unbearable? When you fail publicly? When your own mind turns against you? This is where Stoicism becomes more than philosophy. It becomes survival. A man once lost his job, his relationship, and his confidence all within the same year. Every morning he woke up with anxiety in his chest. He felt embarrassed, ashamed, hopeless. One night he sat in complete darkness asking himself, "Why is this happening to me?" But eventually he realized something powerful. That question was keeping him weak. So instead he asked, "What can this season teach me?" That shift changed everything. He began rebuilding slowly. He exercised every morning. He stopped complaining. He read Stoic philosophy daily. He disciplined his routines. He stopped chasing distractions. And little by little, the same pain that almost destroyed him started transforming him. This is how to be mentally strong in hard times. You stop asking life to become easier. You become stronger instead. Stoicism teaches that difficult seasons are temporary. No storm lasts forever. No pain lasts forever. No failure lasts forever. But if you panic emotionally every time hardship arrives, you will suffer twice. The Stoics believed calmness under pressure is a superpower. When everybody else collapses emotionally, the disciplined mind stays steady. Not because it feels no pain, but because it understands pain is part of life. Marcus Aurelius faced war, disease, betrayal, and constant pressure as emperor. Yet he continued leading calmly. That is strength. Not avoiding hardship. Remaining stable inside hardship. If you are currently going through a difficult season, hear this carefully. Your pain is not proof that your life is over. It may be proof that your transformation has begun. We live in a world full of noise. Everyone is distracted. Everyone is reacting emotionally. Everyone wants instant pleasure. Attention spans are shrinking. Patience is disappearing. Discipline is becoming rare. And because of this, ancient wisdom has become more valuable than ever. Stoicism survived for thousands of years because human nature has not changed. People still struggle with fear. People still struggle with anger. People still struggle with insecurity. People still struggle with loss. Technology changed. Human emotions did not. That is why the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus still feels powerful today. A young man once spent nearly 10 hours a day consuming social media, scrolling endlessly, comparing himself constantly, destroying his focus. Over time, his confidence disappeared. His mind became restless. He could not sit in silence for even 5 minutes. Then one day he began reading Stoic philosophy. At first it felt uncomfortable, because Stoicism forced him to confront himself. No excuses, no victim mentality, no emotional chaos. Just truth. Slowly he deleted distractions, reduced noise, started journaling, started exercising, started spending more time thinking than reacting. Months later his life looked completely different. Not because Stoicism magically solved his problems, but because it taught him how to control himself. Ancient wisdom for modern life matters because modern society profits from weak attention. Weak people are easier to manipulate, easier to distract, easier to control. But the Stoics trained independent minds. They taught: think clearly, speak carefully, control your emotions, value character more than status. That wisdom is timeless. And in a world addicted to comfort and distraction, discipline becomes revolutionary. Your life changes the moment you stop reacting emotionally to everything. Most people are controlled by external events. Someone criticizes them, their mood changes. Someone ignores them, they overthink. Something goes wrong, they panic. Their emotions constantly depend on circumstances. But Stoicism teaches emotional mastery. Imagine 2 men stuck in traffic. One screams, curses, becomes furious, and ruins his entire day. The other stays calm, turns on an audiobook, and accepts the situation. Same traffic. Different mindset. The problem was never the traffic. It was the reaction. This is one of the deepest Stoic lessons. Events themselves do not destroy peace. Uncontrolled reactions do. A father once taught his son a lesson after an argument. He handed him a glass of water and said, "Shake it." The boy shook the glass and water spilled everywhere. The father smiled and said, "The water was always inside. The shaking only revealed it." Life works the same way. Pressure reveals what is already within you. If anger controls you internally, pressure exposes it. If insecurity controls you internally, criticism exposes it. If fear controls you internally, hardship exposes it. This is why Stoicism focuses so heavily on inner work. Mastering your emotions and reactions begins with awareness. Pause before speaking. Pause before reacting. Pause before making emotional decisions. One moment of emotional control can save years of regret. The strongest people are not those who overpower others. They are those who overpower themselves. Your brain adapts to whatever you repeatedly do. If you constantly choose comfort, your brain becomes addicted to comfort. If you constantly avoid difficult tasks, your brain becomes weaker. But if you repeatedly choose discipline, focus, and consistency, your brain slowly rewires itself. This is why Stoicism is not just philosophy. It is mental conditioning. A young athlete once dreamed of greatness. But every day he made excuses. Too tired. Too distracted. Too unmotivated. Then his coach told him something brutal. "Every time you avoid discomfort, you train weakness." That sentence haunted him. From that day forward, he stopped negotiating with excuses. He trained even when tired. Studied even when bored. Stayed consistent even when results were invisible. Years later, people called him talented. But what they called talent was actually disciplined repetition. Rewiring your brain for self-discipline requires consistency more than intensity. You do not need to become perfect overnight. You simply need to stop betraying yourself daily. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens your identity. Every promise you break weakens trust within yourself. This is why discipline creates confidence. Because confidence is built through evidence. When you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can endure discomfort, your mind changes. You stop seeing yourself as weak. You stop seeing yourself as lazy. You stop seeing yourself as fragile. And eventually, discipline stops feeling painful. It becomes part of your identity. That is when transformation becomes permanent. Listen carefully. Life will test you. People will betray you. You will fail. You will lose things you thought would last forever. You will face moments where your mind tells you to give up. But this is where Stoicism changes everything. Because Stoicism teaches you that strength is not avoiding pain. Strength is carrying pain without surrendering your character. The mentally unbreakable are not born differently. They simply train differently. They control their reactions. They accept responsibility. They embrace discipline. They use suffering as fuel. They remain calm under pressure. And over time, life stops controlling them. Remember this. A calm mind is a dangerous weapon. The world cannot easily break someone who has learned to master themselves. So from this day forward, stop complaining. Stop waiting. Stop running from discomfort. Face life directly. Build discipline. Protect your peace. Master your emotions. And become the kind of person that hardship cannot destroy. If this video spoke to you, subscribe to Discipline Within for more videos on Stoicism, discipline, self-mastery, mental strength, and personal transformation. And comment below. I will master myself. Because your transformation begins the moment you decide your mind will no longer control you.